Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the library. Today's piece will be the short story, When It Snows. Enjoy. I hear the swing and slam of my house's front door, and I don't waste any time as I dart into bed and throw the covers over me. I hear my bedroom door quickly open and close as light enters and leaves in the blink of an eye, like every other night. It doesn't take too long for the shrinking to transpire as my mom initiates an argument by inquiring the whereabouts of my father. "So who are you screwing now behind my back?" my mother says. "I'm not in the mood today. Get off my back, bitch," my father replies. "Can't you think about other people for once? Who is our boy going to look up to if you keep acting like this?" my mother says, raising her voice. "He's already old enough to do shit on his own." "I don't care," my father says, now his voice raised. "He's 7, for Christ's sakes. I won't just sit by while you keep acting like you could do." Before she could finish her sentence, I hear the air leave her voice and a loud thud follow right after. I crack open my door and peer down the hallway. Without a second thought, quickly and silently, I make my way to the stairs that lead to my basement. Even though in my mind I want to go out and help the mother that nurtures and cares for me, I know I wouldn't be able to do anything, as the bruise on my upper lip reminds me constantly of my failed attempt to do so. I make my way down to the basement knowing that my mom will fight back, even though the same outcome happens every time. I turn on the light and immediately feel relieved. In the basement, I can't hear my parents clash. I look around and take in everything. Though it was as creepy and murky as any basement would be, I built a little comfy area full of stuffed animals, pillows, blankets, and toys I enjoy. I lay on the makeshift bed I made, and though it was small and uncomfortable, it did the job it was designed to do. I picked up a stuffed penguin that my parents picked out for my 5th birthday, both of them smiling as they watched me eagerly rip open the box the present was in. It reminds me of the times that there was no problems between them, when genuine love glimmered in their eyes. I look at the penguin more and more, and the brief happiness it gives me turned into anger. I must have done something wrong for them to start acting so fiercely with each other, as now their eyes are soulless, only malice fills the air between their every encounter. I'm the reason. I'm the reason. I'm the reason. The words keep playing in my mind. This went on for a couple minutes until I looked down at my hands and noticed how strangled the penguin I was holding on to was. I let out a sigh and gently tossed him in the pile of other stuffed animals. Trying my best to stop this barrage of thoughts from taking over my head, I close my eyes and try to focus on the positive memories as I struggle to fall asleep. A few days like these pass until Sunday arrives. My mom and I always go to church. My father stopped going years ago. I wait near the front steps today as my mom was called to speak to the pastor after service. A few kids point at me and whisper something that I couldn't quite pick up. I'm used to it though. Throughout my whole life I've always been really quiet, so making friends was always hard. I've been going to this church all my life, and each child service I went to I was too shy to utter a word. A kid that looks like he's a year older than me walks in front of me. "Hey, is it true that they say that you're mute?" he says. I shake my head. "Okay, prove it. Say something," he says. "Hello," I say in my natural soft voice. Instead of the name calling I was used to, what I received was a warm smile, as he turned his back to me and walks off. I couldn't help it, but my heart pounded a bit faster. Please turn back. Please don't leave. I wanted to say what I felt, but for some reason the phrases wouldn't escape my mouth. All I could do was watch you drift further and further away. Another possible friend eaten up by my own refusal to ask for help, to ask for anything. "Hey, Sam," I hear my mother's voice behind me. I turn around to see my mom, but in her arms was a small white dog. Its whole body was covered with curly white hair, and it had 2 black beady eyes over a damp black nose. "Come pick up this bag, honey," she says as she walks down the stairs towards me. I listen to what she says and grab the bag. It wasn't that heavy, and dog treat symbols enveloped the cover of it. I follow her towards our car and enter it before asking any questions. "What's with the dog?" I ask her. "Oh, I was thinking since you're an only child, you might need a new friend. And people at the church were giving away a dog, so I just thought it would help both ends," she says with a smile as she carefully places the dog to the seat next to me. The dog turns around in a circle and rests its body on the car seat. "It's a girl, and is trained to live with people, so all we really have to do is feed it and take it on walks. I may be busy, so it'll give you things to do after school besides always locking yourself in your room," my mom says as we exit the church parking lot. "Oh, okay. Do you want me to say thank you?" I ask. "You can say and do whatever you want, honey. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but you don't always have to listen to me or that man I call my husband. I sense a bit of anger in this statement, but decide not to dig into it too much. What's her name? I ask. Well, your name's Sammy, so I was thinking about Snowy, she says. Are you really just saying that because it's winter right now and she's white? That's not very creative for a name, I say. She rolls her eyes. Well, that's my suggestion. It's mainly for you, so you get the choice. I look over at the dog as my mom says this. The dog turns her head towards me, but only for a moment as she sets her head back into her paws. I think I'll go with Snowflake, I say. That's basically the same thing I said, my mother says with a giggle. I shrug. Sure, it's not that amazing and pretty bland, but I get to pick it, and in this moment, that was all that mattered to me. We arrived back home, and I helped my mom set up the house for Snowflake. We went to the basement to place her cage and food bowl. After setting up a spot in the basement, we let Snowy run around the house so she could get a feel for it. I've never had a pet, but seeing her fur rustle and her little paws scampering around the house filled me with an unexpected glee. Let me show you how to take her for a walk, my mom says as she takes out Alicia and stuffs a few plastic bags in her pocket. I put my hand in hers as she hooks up Snowflake to the leash and we exit the house. I watch as my mom cleans after Snowflake when she uses her bodily functions, and though I was repulsed at first, I got used to it and we continued down our street. I take a moment to take in the neighborhood around me. We live in a classic suburb, and it's always been very well kept. But walking with Snowflake and my mom made me notice just how beautiful it was. The bright colors of the houses, the gorgeous plants, the swiveling sidewalks all just made the arrangement of houses lovely to look at. Even though it was snowing, it still kept its charm. Though like usual, the good moment was short-lived, and after we were done walking Snowflake, we returned to our residence, and nighttime soon fell upon us. This time the fighting escalated much more rapidly than before, but before I made my way to the basement, I paused to take a glance at what was happening. The sight of my mother pinned to the ground was all I could bear before my stomach started churning and I had to retreat to my destination. I bound down the creaky steps and dart my way into my quiet place. But before I could make it, another unsightly visual enters my eyes. Snowflake had an abundance of black and white fluff between her teeth, and when I moved closer, I could clearly see the penguin that gave me so much comfort teared up and sprawled all across the floor. My eyes met Snowflake once again, but instead of feeling appreciation, the only emotion I could fathom was rage. I throw myself at her, and before she could run away, I latch onto her and pull her towards me. I gripped her as tight as I can, harder and harder. My brain went blank. I couldn't feel anything surrounding me. All I could feel was unquestioned frustration. I kept gripping her until a small whimper takes me out of my daze. I release the dog, and right when she hits the ground, she runs a few spaces away from me and turns around. I can see her body vibrating softly and her eyes moving at a rapid pace in every direction. She was scared of me. Is this why my parents hate each other? Are they scared as well? I switched to a fetal position and repeatedly rocked back and forth. I can't do anything right. I truly am just like my father. Maybe that's why they started fighting. My mother couldn't deal with two evil people in the same house. I clench my eyes shut as moisture starts to drip down my face, my salty tears splashing onto the floor. I stay like this for what feels like years, until I feel something wet touch my face. I ignore it at first, but it continues to nudge at me. I sit up and rub my eyes to see what was bothering me, and was surprised to see Snowflake standing right in front of me. Why would she be here, after all the pain I inflicted on her? Shouldn't she be trying to hit me back? That's how it always goes. Snowflake seemed to hear my thoughts and started to crawl onto me towards my face, tongue out. She started to lick the tears flowing down my eyes. Without thinking, I gently grabbed her, and though she flinched at my hands at first, she let herself be grabbed. I shimmied my way onto my makeshift bed. I laid down with her still in my arms and closed my eyes once again. She forgave me. Am I allowed to accept that? Do I have to be just like my dad, or can I be a different person? Even if I do become just like him, maybe life will be okay if I have someone like Snowflake to share it with. I'm happy she's here. These optimistic thoughts raced in my head, and for once in a long time, I felt myself drift into a peaceful slumber. Okay, honey, are you ready to go? My mom says, her hands filled to the brim with packing bags. Yeah, I'm coming, and stop calling me honey. I'm 18 now, I reply. I look around at the basement that I basically grew up in. I haven't been here in a few months after Snowflake died, as I couldn't bring myself to walk down the steps. But now, since we're leaving and never coming back, I couldn't help but enter one last time. I look at my old fortress made up of the raggedy pillows and blankets, and the memory of the first day we got snowflake echoes in my mind. The day that I can honestly say changed my life for the better. I enter my small makeshift room and look at the pile of stuffed animals. I remember when Snowflake ripped the penguin I held so dear, and the anger I felt during the time makes me shudder. Why did I get so angry? I realize now that ripping that dumb penguin is probably the best thing anyone has ever done for me. That penguin was keeping me glued to a past that no longer existed, a fake reality that I put myself in when the real world was too much to bear. By ripping the penguin, Snowflake ripped my excuses to run and hide, and I will forever be grateful to her. Come on, honey. I want to leave as soon as possible, my mom calls. I decided that I couldn't ruin such a big day for her, and don't waste any more time on the past as I make my way up the steps and out of the house. It's time to finally go, my mom says as I close the front door behind me. It was probably time to go a while ago, but I'm glad you decided now, I say. My mom finally got a divorce with my dad, and now we're off to live with her sister, and I couldn't be any happier for her. I was waiting on you to get older. I didn't want to just take your life right from under you at such a young age, she says. I would have been fine. I just wish Snowflake was here to finally move away too. I'm so sorry that we had to bury her here, but we're going to be okay. My mom gently rubs my shoulder. I know. And besides, she wasn't just a body. She was my first true friend, and I'll bring her with me wherever we go. And she would want me to move forward anyway. As I finish my sentence, I feel the temperature suddenly get colder, and look up to see that it's starting to snow. I get what you mean. Moving forward is the best option, though sometimes it's the scariest, she says. I ponder what she says, and growing up and watching her all my life, I deeply believe that she knows exactly what I mean. It does help to have someone to do it with, though, I say, remembering how I felt all those years with Snowflake by my side. That's why I have you, my mother says as she enters her car. So let's be free. Hello again, everyone, and I'm back to say that I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this video. But more importantly, this was the Library of Atlas, keeping the library online. Peace.